Republican Senator John Barrasso joins us now from Washington. He is chairman of the Senate Republican Policy Committee and a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, good morning and welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you. 3 days is not much time. Who do you think will blink? What could break to finally get this under control?
Well, I agree. We need to get the government up and functioning again. We need to get people back to work. As you just showed the debt clock, Eric, Harry Reid brought to the floor yesterday a bill to increase the debt ceiling by $1 trillion for over the next year without doing anything at all to deal with spending, which is our fundamental problem. So we need to get a solution there. $1 trillion is $1 million every minute for the next year until December of 2014. American families know that they can't live that way with that kind of borrowing without dealing with the spending. It's time for Washington to get the spending under control, and we need to address that in a responsible way for the future of our children and our grandchildren.
So you're saying the majority leader wants to add, what, $1 million a minute on top of what we just saw, or he won't agree to any deal?
For the next year and a couple of months. He wants to get it beyond the 2014 elections. That's what $1 trillion increase in the debt ceiling would be. Republicans are offering responsible ways to deal with this incredible debt and deficit and get the spending under control. The American people are demanding that all across the country, and yet the president, I believe, has failed to lead. We did meet with him at the White House on Friday to discuss some ways to do it, and he said that the debt ceiling should not be used, he said, as a toll booth for raising the debt ceiling. And I will tell you, historically in the United States, a way to bring fiscal discipline is when it is time to discuss raising the debt ceiling.
Well,
this is the time that you need to actually address the driver of our problems, which is the spending.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what does Mitch McConnell say to Harry Reid this afternoon? They're going to sit down together. They're taking the ball now. What can possibly be done that's differently when these two gentlemen sit down together in a room and try to hammer out a deal? Is that possible?
Well, the Senate's going to reconvene again in the next hour. I'll be there on the floor of the Senate when Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell are there, and we do reconvene. They'll each make statements when the Senate opens again to talk about the need to get the government open and to deal with this incredible debt, which is really the problem with our nation's finances. It's not raising the debt ceiling, it is the debt. And it is the problem that we do not have a credible, sustainable solution to the long-term debt. And that's where the credit markets have downgraded us in the past.
You know, one thing Americans are tired of now is just this gridlock. There's a great quote from James Baker, the former chief of staff to President Ronald Reagan and Treasury Secretary and Secretary of State, in his book, Work Hard, Study, Keep Out of Politics. He writes, many of Ronald Reagan's less pragmatic followers hated compromise. To them, it was better to lose everything than to give an inch. They didn't understand how the system works. Pragmatism without principles is cynicism, but principle without pragmatism is often powerless. So when you're dealing with politics, what is your advice to both McConnell and Harry Reid as they get together this afternoon so that you guys can end this?
Well, it's the Ronald Reagan, somebody who's with me 80% of the time is my friend and ally, not some 20% traitor. We need to find areas of agreement. There are areas of agreement. Senator Susan Collins of Maine has come up with a proposal. A number of Republicans and Democrats have sat down together to look for finding solutions to get the government opened again. And that's what we need to do. We need to get the government open, people back to work. That's what the American people expect. They want their elected leaders to govern, to make sure the government is up and functioning, and that's why I'll be on the floor of the Senate within the next 45 minutes to push for that, Eric.
All right, Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming, Republican, we thank you so much. It's day 13. We want you to get to work. I think it's fair to say that you can speak for all of us if you guys can try and solve this. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.